and welcome to our final segment of our YouTube exclusives for this week. I'm still joined by Joe. You still doing good, Joe?
Yep.
Awesome. Well, on our last YouTube exclusive, our last segment was Book It, and it was how to book Roman Reigns and keep him the babyface that WWE wants him to be and get him back on the right track. Well, we talked about Fastlane in segment number 3. And kind of the fallout, what our thoughts was. Well, as you know, Roman Reigns won it, and he's moving on to face Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Well, that's kind of left Daniel Bryan with a hole, and he really doesn't have an opponent. So I wanted to get you to be like a guest booker and kind of tell me how you think WWE should book Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania, or just how you would book Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. So kind of give me your thoughts on that, Joe, and kind of how you would book things for Daniel Bryan.
Well, since Daniel Bryan apparently don't have an opponent at the moment, there's 2 routes of booking him. Depends on how the fans react. Because as any booker, you go by what the fans want. Obviously, fans wanted him to win the number 1 contendership and face Brock, but of course that didn't happen because the bookers and the corporate didn't like. Apparently they were going for Roman Reigns. So as Daniel Bryan, I would say one way would be have Sheamus come back. And there's been rumors that he's coming back as a heel, which is a good thing for Daniel because he can come in, interfere in a match with Daniel Bryan, and make him lose. And, have the fans hate Sheamus so much, but, like Daniel Bryan, and, have a potential match at WrestleMania. Sheamus can use the whole idea of like, Daniel Bryan is nothing. You got all this exposure from last year, 2014, and this year for world title. But yet again, you're nothing but a worse. You're nothing but a crappy wrestler. You know how Sheamus is. He can be a good cocky heel. He can turn around and say, Daniel Bryan, I beat you for a world title at WrestleMania 28.
Yes, you are correct. It was WrestleMania
for
28.
18 seconds. So that will be Sheamus' way of getting to the fans that I beat your man. I beat you, your guy that you're rooting for 18 seconds for that world championship. He is nothing but a fraud or whatever he want to use. And that's a good way to make Sheamus a heel. And that can bring up to a potential match at WrestleMania. Say a last man standing match would be a good one. Because instead of pinning the opponent after 18 seconds, you have to beat your opponent down, continue beating him down until he cannot get up. And that's a chance to Daniel Bryan to show the fans that match at WrestleMania 28 wasn't a fluke. It was just because he got sucker punched and he wasn't able to recover from it.
So you're thinking that's how Daniel Bryan should be booked, is you go the route of Sheamus.
One way. The other way is to book him along with the rest of some of the superstars into the Intercontinental Championship title. Because I believe Daniel Bryan has a chance to make that title a very prestigious title, considering he's a former world champion, and as any world champion, they can make any title into a prestige title. And since the world championship title hasn't really been used often at quite a few pay-per-views, why not put the Intercontinental Championship around a former world champion that will wrestle it, compete it, and defend it in every show they can. So make that, like the good old days, the Intercontinental Championship used to be a way to be the number 1 contender for the World Championship. So if Daniel Bryan wins the Intercontinental title, he has another chance to compete for the world title, and then also get the Intercontinental title as a prestige to where, in order for me to become a number 1 contender, I had to beat this guy for the IC title to get recognized as a contender.
Yeah, and I mean, I actually like that way. That's probably if Daniel Bryan's not going to be booked in the main event of WrestleMania, then I mean that may be the best route to go, is to book him in the ladder match for the IC title, and that would be good for Bryan for the simple fact of, like you mentioned, it would give prestige back to the Intercontinental title because it would be Bryan wearing it. But 2, Daniel Bryan's never been Intercontinental Champion. That's the one thing he's not done in WWE so far, and he's been in it such a short time. So if he was to win the Intercontinental title, he would really fulfill his goal and quest of winning every championship. He's been Tag Champ, U.S. Champ, World Champ, WWE Champ, WWE World Heavyweight Champ. I mean, he's done it all.
And that will officially make him a Triple Crown Champion.
Yeah, I mean, he's been U.S. Tag, World, WWE World Heavyweight Champion. He's won every title except the Intercontinental. So to win the Intercontinental title would be something good for him. But that's kind of how I think I would book him. I don't know that I'd put him in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal just for the simple fact he is a small guy and he probably wouldn't win it. But I mean, I would probably put him in the ladder match. Oh, any thoughts you want to add before we close this YouTube exclusive?
Yes. No. Just joking. I may not be a big Daniel Bryan fan, but I agree with you. They should put him in the Intercontinental title match. Simple fact of, like you said, he's a former world champion competing for the IC title. That's one thing he had never held before in his life, in his career. If once he holds it, then he can say he has accomplished everything that he can in WWE, and then maybe from there he can, he can go from the Intercontinental title to work his way back up to the main event picture with the world title, and by then, either Roman Reigns or Brock Lesnar or maybe another champion is willing to give Daniel Bryan a shot at their world title.
Yeah, and I agree. I do see him working his way back up. I mean, even if he doesn't win the Intercontinental title or in that ladder match, I'd be perfectly fine, but I do think he is going to eventually get back in the main event spot. But that's all the time we have for this segment. We're going to close it out, and we will see you guys later.